Hey guys, today I'm gonna be talking about the UFC 289 where we have Amanda Nunes. The line is going up against Aldana. Um, and the co-main event we have Charles Oliveira going up against Beneil Dariush, and they're gonna be fighting for the title shot next. So this is just a quick picks video. So I'm just gonna be picking the fighters that I think will be winning the fights. After next week, after the UFC fight card this weekend, I am most likely gonna be going deep into these predictions. Why I'm making these picks. But for now, let's just make some quick picks right now. For the first fight on the prelims, we have the heavyweights going at it. We have Chris Daukaus going up against Khalil Roundtree, and this fight is at light heavyweight or heavyweight. This is a light heavyweight fight. I mean, it's good to see that Chris Daukaus is moving down. I didn't think it was a good. I mean, he was having a lot of success in the first fighting low level heavyweights, but as soon as he moved up against some good ranked heavyweights, he was having trouble. As you can see here, he's in the UFC. He is 4-3, and he in his last 3 fights he's been knocked out clean. Like Rosenstrike knocked him out in the first round in the first minute. Curtis Blade knocked him out in the second round in the first minute on the feet. I mean, Curtis Blade didn't even have to take him down or anything. Derek Lewis knocked him out in the first round. Before that, he has a win over Smule, Alexei Olenek, and then Nascimento and Parker Porter, who he knocked out. But I'm going to be taking Khalil Roundtree. I know he's going to be able to take punches better. I do think so. He's going to be able to take punches better. Chris Daukaus, I'm talking about, at 205, but I just don't know if his chin is going to be there. And Khalil Roundtree does hit really hard. I really liked what he did against Dustin Jacoby. He put the volume out there and got that split decision win over a really good kickboxer like Jacoby. But what does worry me is that Daukaus is a bigger fighter here. I think he's the 6'3" with the 76-inch reach, whereas Roundtree is 6'1" with the 74-inch reach. But Khalil Roundtree does have a really good chin. He is going to be able to take punches a lot better. I don't think he's been knocked out clean. He's been knocked out twice in his career, once by and last once by submission. But in the UFC, Ian Cutelaba knocked him out with elbows, and Johnny Walker knocked him out. This fight is tricky. I don't know if I'm going to be betting this fight. I think the best bet on this fight is fight does not go the distance, because Daukaus is a kill or be killed fighter. But for this video, I'm going to be picking Khalil Roundtree by knockout. Let's go to the next fight. On the prelims, we have Nasruddin Imavov versus Chris Curtis. Guys, I do think Nasruddin Imavov is the favorite in this fight. Well, in the last fight on the heavyweights, Roundtree is a minus 260 favorite. And comeback on Daukaus as underdog is plus 190. And even plus 200. I mean, that's kind of crazy. I do think Daukaus still has a chance to beat Roundtree, but I just don't trust his chin. Anyways, guys, let's move to the next fight, where we have Chris Curtis sitting as right now as underdog at plus 100 and even plus 105, and then we have Nasruddin Imavov at minus 130 and minus 125. DraftKings is sitting at minus 130, so I do think Nasruddin Imavov has more tools. I mean, he's got good grappling, But he doesn't have the cardio. I mean, I don't see good cardio from him. In that fight against Sean Strickland, he really slowed down in the last 2 rounds. But this is a 3-round fight. I do think Chris Curtis, if he can defend the takedowns and keep, but we don't know how Chris Curtis is gonna look after that crazy banger fight he had with Kelvin Gastelum, where they went toe to toe in the pocket, just punched each other like crazy. For this video, I'm gonna be picking Nasruddin Imavov here. I do think he has more tools to win this fight, and I do see him bouncing back and getting a win here. Let's move to the next fight on the prelims, where we have Ayman Jahabi versus Ariki Lang. Guys, I'm gonna be taking Ariki Lang. I do think he's got really good power, and he's a younger fighter here at 29 years old, almost 30. Jahabi just got a win over Ricky Tercios in his last fight, like 10 months ago, whereas Ricky Lang got a win over Jay Perrin by unanimous decision, like just 8 months ago. The pick here is Ricky Lang Moneyline. Let's see the odds. What the odds are? Ricky Lang is the slight favorite at -150, and the comeback on Jahabi is plus 115. This fight is kind of tricky, but I do think Ricky Lang does get the win here. Let's move to the next fight on the prelims, where we have Matt Snow versus David Dvorak. And this fight, this is a lightweight fight. It's really hard to pick Matt Snow because he really fights like just a wild dog out there. Matt Snow, he is coming off a loss to Mateus Nicolau, where he just got dropped and then got ground and pounded in round 2 by Nicolau. And before that, he got a win over Sumo Darji, where he choked him out in the second round. And before that, he got submitted by Brandon Royval, who's going to be fighting for the title next at flyweight. So he has faced pretty good competition. David Dvorak is coming off a loss, 2 losses, one to Mateus Nicolau and the other one to Manuel Kopp. But I do think Dvorak is the favorite in this fight. Dvorak is the -180. Wow. And the comeback on Snow is plus 140, plus 150 in some books. On DraftKings, he's sitting at plus 145, and Dvorak as the favorite, -170. I am going to be picking... it's really hard for me to pick this fight. But I do think I'm going to take Dvorak in this fight. I do think the reason I'm picking Dvorak is he's not coming off a loss, TKO loss, like Snow. We don't know how Chin is gonna look, if he's gonna be able to take those punches. And Dvorak, I mean, he does have a good UFC level experience. He's got 3 wins in the UFC and 2 losses. He's got a win over Bruno Silva. I mean, so he hasn't faced the best competition in the UFC. Doesn't have any good wins like Snow has wins over Tyson. I'm just not impressed by both of these guys. But the way Snow fights, I do think Dvorak is gonna catch him and maybe knock him out cold in this fight. So the pick is David Dvorak by TKO. Let's move to the next fight on the prelims, where we have Blake Builder versus Kyle Nelson. And the pick here is Blake Builder, guys. Let's look at the odds. The odds for this fight is Builder sitting at minus 220 and minus 195 on DraftKings. And the comeback on Nelson is as underdog at plus 165 on DraftKings. The pick is definitely Blake Builder. They're about the same age, but I do think the problem for Kyle Nelson, my Canadian brother, is that he is coming off 2 losses in a row. One to Jai Herbert and the other one to Billy Quarantillo, where he got knocked out on the 3rd round. And he hasn't fought in a while. He hasn't fought in over a year. In less than a year, I mean. But I think Blake Builder is gonna likely submit him here. But just take Moneyline. Blake Builder Moneyline is the safest play. Let's go to the next fight. On the prelims, we have the girls going at it. Diana Belbita versus Maria Oliveira. And I am going to be taking Maria Oliveira in this fight. She does have a win in the UFC over Gloria De Paula by split decision. Wow. And her losses are to Vanessa Demopoulos and to Tabitha Ricci. Diana's coming off a win in the UFC over 1 win and 3 losses in the UFC. Win to Hannah Goldie, who I don't even think is in the UFC anymore. Maybe she is in the UFC, but Goldie is not that good. I mean, Molly McCann knocked her out in 3rd round. In the 1st round, I mean. None of these girls are all that good. Personally, I would not advise you guys to put your hard-earned money on these girls. I just wouldn't trust them. But I do see this fight going all 3 rounds. And I do think Maria Oliveira is going to take the decision here. Let's move to the next fight on the prelims. The featured fight on the prelims. We have girls going at it. What? No way they made the girls' fights a featured prelim. What? What is UFC doing? Like, what the hell? Like, why not make Imavov versus Chris Curtis the featured prelim? Like, why? Why, UFC? Why? I just don't understand what they're doing. Like, why make the woman as the featured prelim instead of Nasruddin Imavov or Chris Curtis as the prelim? I really hope they make Imavov and the Chris Curtis as the featured prelim instead of Jasmine Jastovicius versus Miranda Maverick. But let's break this fight up. And we have Jasmine going up against Miranda Maverick. Let's look at the odds. Oh yeah, we forgot to look at the odds for the last fight. We have Maria Oliveira is minus 110 underdog. It's a pick'em fight. I mean, it makes sense. None of those girls are impressive. And Belbita was a plus 120 on some books and plus 110. It's a pick'em on DraftKings, so if you do want to bet on the last fight on Diana or Maria Oliveira, just take fight to go the distance, or just put your money on either one of them. Either one of them might win, I guess. But I do think Oliveira is the more likely girl to get the win in that fight. But let's look at this next fight. Jasmine Jastovicius versus Miranda Maverick. I expect Maverick to be a big favorite here. Wow, she's sitting at minus 310. And the comeback on Jasmine Jastovicius is plus 225, guys. The problem I have with Miranda Maverick is she's like 5'3" or something. Yeah, she's 5'3". She does have really good wrestling, really good submissions. Like, what I wonder is who's putting so much money on Maverick. I know Maverick has really good jiu-jitsu, really good submissions, but so does Jasmine Jastuisius. She's got good striking also. 2 wins by decision and then 1 loss by decision. 3 wins by decision. Wow. Her only loss was to Natalia Silva, and we know how good Natalia Silva is. Who just knocked her opponent out in the first round like a week ago. I don't know. I wouldn't bet on a -300 on Maverick. Like, come on. This fight, maybe she should be like a -195, -150, but -300, there's no way. Maverick, the Maverick, -310, -285. I do think Maverick is gonna win this fight, guys, by submission likely, but like, it's not like she's this Dagestani girl who's running everyone over. I mean, Irene Blanchfield beat her by unanimous decision. And then Macy Barber beat her by decision. By split decision. So it's not like she's this Dagestani girl who has some crazy Dagestani wrestling. I know she's got good wrestling, so that's why I'm going to be picking her. Just take, I don't know, just don't take Moneyline. Maybe Miranda Maverick by decision. But just don't bet on this fight, because she's not that reliable. In the UFC, she's 4-2. Like, if you're a -300 or -400, like, you gotta be winning all your fights in the UFC, or winning like at least 70-80% of your fights in the UFC. But yeah, the pick is Miranda Maverick by decision. Let's go to the next fight, the main card. Guys, once again, like the video, subscribe if you haven't yet. We're trying to get to 100 subscribers. And I wanted to get this quick picks video out there so you guys can start hitting the lines right now before the lines get juicy. Anyhow, let's start. Let's get to the main card. The first fight on the main card, my Canadian brother Mike Malott versus Adam Fugate. I mean, what a name. Mike Malott is undefeated in the UFC. He's 2-0. He's got a win over Johan Lioness. He's choked him out in the first round. This was in February this year. Just like a couple months back. Just arm triangle choke. It was really fast, like the first minute or two. Before that, he's also competing in grappling. Got a win over Trevin Giles by decision. Knocked out Mickey Gall. And he's been competing in Bellator, I guess. He had a draw in Bellator. Has a win at the Contender Series. Where he choked out this guy in under a minute. I mean, this guy's jiu-jitsu is very, very high level, and I see him doing the same to Adam Fugate. I mean, Adam Fugate is not too bad. He's got a win over Kinosita by elbows from mount, I guess. Kinosita. I do think Mike Millard. Let's look at the odds now. Mike Millard is sitting as the favorite at minus 235. He's sitting at I guess the more money came in on Adam Figit. He's sitting at minus 205 right now. And the comeback on Adam plus 175, guys. The pick here is Mike Millard. I do see him choking Adam out, maybe in the first or second round. I do think the safer play is Moneyline, because he could maybe take him down, use his wrestling, and maybe TKO ground and pound. But I do see this fight being competitive in the first round. Adam Figit isn't a bad fighter. I mean, he's got that dog in him. But I feel like there is a skill difference here. I'm going to be riding with my Canadian brother, Mike Millard, the proper, by submission likely. Guys, alright, let's move to the next fight on the main card, where we have Dan 50K Ige versus Nate the Train Landwehr. Guys, I'm gonna be taking this fight's really hard for me to pick, guys. I love Nate the Train. I mean, who doesn't love Nate the Train? But this is a really step up in competition, in my opinion. I mean, Nate the Train is just running his train over people, like over these fighters. I mean, submitted Ludovic Klein by an anaconda choke. Got a win over David Onama by decision, which was a crazy fight. If you go watch that fight if you haven't yet. And then submitted choked Austin Lingo out like in the second round, I think it was. On the other side, we have Dan 50K Ige, who just got a win in his last fight over Damon Jackson. And Dan 50K Ige is a younger fighter here. Let's look at the odds now. Dan Ige is sitting at around as the favorite at minus 240 and minus 215. And the comeback on Nate the Train at plus 185. Guys, the way their fighting style is, the way Nate the Train fights, I do think it favors Dan 50K Ige. For sure, I think Dan is the more technical striker here. He's got the better, more technical jiu-jitsu. And Dan has faced a better competition also. And he's never been finished in his career. He's had 13 fights in the UFC. And he's got 50 wins by finish and 50% wins by decision. So he's got 8 wins in the UFC. He's got wins over Damon Jackson in the second round by knockout. Got a win over Edson Barboza. Got a win over Kevin Aguilar. Got a win over Danny Henry by choking him out. Jordan Griffin. I mean, you can tell he's faced some really good fighters in the UFC. He's faced Movsar Evloev, where he lost by decision. Faced Josh Emmett. I mean, he's faced the best of the best at 145, where Nate the Train is just starting to fight. I mean, this is a step up in competition, and this is gonna be a crazy fight, guys. I just don't see this fight going all 3 rounds. I think Dan Ige is gonna find that knockout in this fight, maybe in the second round. I'm gonna go with Dan Ige by TKO in the second round. But what I will say is Nate the Train it does have a height advantage in this fight, and he's a dog. So I mean, he's an absolute dog. In his last 5 fights, his only loss was to Julian Erosa, where he got knocked out by a flying knee in the first minute of the first round. I do see Dan Ige finding that crazy big bomb right hand and sleeping Nate the Train. So I'm gonna go with Dan Ige by TKO. Now let's move to the next fight on the main card, where we have Eric Anders versus Marc-Andre Barriault. Guys, let's look at the odds for this fight. Marc-Andre Barriault sitting as the favorite, slight favorite at -135 or -145, and -135 on DraftKings. You can find him at even lower depending on which book you're with. And the comeback on Eric Anders as the dog at +115. So the odds are very close in this fight, and it does make sense. Eric Anders does have really good wrestling. He is the older fighter in this fight. Marc-Andre Barriault is the younger at 33 years old, and they're just about the same height, and then Anders has 1 inch reach advantage. I am going to be taking my Canadian brother here, Marc-Andre Barriault. I do think he's fighting smarter now. He's not taking unnecessary risk anymore. In his last fight over Julian Marquez, he was fighting somewhat technical. He wasn't making a lot of mistakes. And his losses were to Anthony Hernandez, where he got choked out in the 3rd round. I mean, he was putting it on Anthony Hernandez. Anthony Hernandez is a great, absolute dog, junkyard pit bull dog. And then his other loss was to Chidi Njokuanu. In the first 15 seconds, he got knocked out by a crazy punch. But I mean, he is fighting a bit smart now. He is gonna have to be careful in this fight because Eric Anders loves to throw crazy big bombs, and if one of those connects, it's gonna be good night, Irene. And Anders is competing in grappling he competed against Joe Pyfer, in which he lost. Got choked out by Andre Petroski. What? Andre Petroski, okay. Choked him out in grappling. So it does look like he's preparing for a grappler, the level of Marc-Andre Barriault. But his only win was over Kyle Dacus, the brother of Dacus, the heavyweight Dacus, I guess, who's not that impressive in the 2nd round. And then Darren Stewart, who's not even in the UFC, got a split decision win over Gerald Meerschaert back in 2019. The pick is definitely Marc-Andre Barriault. I see him finding a submission in this fight and choking Eric Anders out cold, maybe in the 2nd or 3rd round. Alright guys, let's move to the co-main event of the evening, where we have Charles Do Bronx Oliveira versus Benny Dariush, guys. Guys, I was doing my research on this fight, and this is like the 3rd time they made this fight. I'm just gonna be straight up with you guys. I'm gonna be taking Benny Dariush in this fight. Even though he's 1 year older than Oliveira. No, not 1 year, a couple months older than Oliveira. I just feel like the momentum, and for Dariush, he's on like a crazy win streak right now. He's on an eight fight win streak at 155, which is completely insane. I mean, it's hard to be on a crazy 8-5 win streak, especially at lightweight. He's got a win over Mateus Gamrot in his last fight, in which he was underdog. He was like a +2 something underdog in that fight. And then he got a win over Tony Alcoy Ferguson by decision. And then got a win over Diego Ferreira, who looked amazing against Michael Johnson. I mean, did you guys see that fight? That was my underdog of the lock of the week, which is Michael Johnson. Just got absolutely slapped by that crazy winging right hand from Diego Ferreira. So I mean, that's a good win to have. Got a win over Sukkot Holtzman by spinning back fist. Knocked out Drakkar close with a crazy overhand left. I mean, this guy's got that crazy power, really good chin also. I mean, the close, like, cracked Benil Dariush in that first round, but Dariush didn't back down. He just put the pressure on him and found that crazy left hand, just absolutely made him freeze, put him down. I mean, submitted Drew Dober, and then got a win over Thiago Moises. So I mean, he's fought some really good killers at lightweight. And on the other hand, I mean, Oliveira's resume is no joke also. Both of these guys are very, very high level. Oliveira is 21-9 in the UFC, which is completely insane. He's coming off a loss to Islam Makhachev by arm triangle choke. Before that, he got choked out Justin Gaethje. Before that, choked out Dustin Poirier. Knocked out Michael Chandler. Beat Tony Ferguson by decision. Choked out Kevin Lee. I mean, look at this crazy long run that Do Bronx had, but I just don't feel like he's hungry anymore. He's not as hungry, and I don't know how he's gonna look after that, after being choked out the way he did. He got dropped by Makhachev too in that fight. I don't think his confidence is gonna be there. And they tried making this fight like three or four times, if I remember. I mean, look at this. They made this fight twice before. It got cancelled back in 2023, May 6th. Then it got cancelled again in 2020, October 3rd. I mean, Oliveira has pulled out twice from this fight. And Benil Dariush wants this fight like crazy. The odds are like almost pick 'em right now. Benil Dariush is a slight favorite at -120, and Oliveira is a +100 underdog. But I am taking Benil Dariush here. I just think that he is more hungry to get the belt. Oliveira has already seen the top. He's been to the top. He's made that money. He's got a crazy house, crazy cars, a lot of good cars. He's got all that. And Dariush is trying to get there. And Dariush is like, he's no joke. I mean, he's got a black belt in jiu-jitsu. I don't see Oliveira submitting him like he's been submitting Gaethje and Poirier. I mean, this guy he's got really good high level submission game. Dariush has 8 wins by submission, only been submitted once. I think that was by Michael Chiesa back in 2016. And Oliveira doesn't have the wrestling. I mean, but Gamrot has better wrestling than Oliveira, much better wrestling, and he wasn't able to take Darius down or hold him down or take his back or anything like that. And I don't see Charles Oliveira doing that. And if they're trading punches, I see Darius knocking him out cold. That's the way I see this fight. Oliveira trains out of Sute Box, Diego Lima, and Darius trains out of King's MMA. And Darius has been he's been preparing for this fight for over 2-3 years. I know he's gonna be ready for this fight. He's gonna be absolutely ready, and I see him finishing Oliveira. But just take Moneyline. Benil Darius, Moneyline -120 on DraftKings. I have 1 unit on him right now. I'm gonna wait till more money comes in on Charles Oliveira. I'm pretty sure the public money will be on Oliveira because he's more well known to people. And I think then I will put a couple more units on Benil Darius. But there's my pick. Take Benil Darius, Moneyline. But I think he's gonna get this win by TKO or decision. I'm gonna go with TKO. Benil Darius by TKO. Let's go to the next fight, the main event of the evening. The main event that we have all been waiting for like crazy. Amanda the Lioness Nunes versus Irene Aldana. I mean, they really I don't know why they made this girls fight a main event. I know Amanda Nunes is a double champ and all that, but come on. Couldn't they just make Oliveira versus Darius the main event, and then the Nunes versus Aldana like a co-main event or something? I would have loved to see Oliveira and Darius as a five round fight. I think the co-main event is 3 rounds, right? Yeah, it is 3 rounds. Yeah, it is 3 rounds. Yeah, 3 rounds. But Amanda Nunes, let's look at the odds. The odds for Nunes is she's -315, and the comeback on Aldana as underdog is +260 on DraftKings. And Irene Aldana, I mean, she's an okay looking woman. Doesn't look too bad, I guess. They're both the same age, both 35 years old. Aldana is on a 2-5 win streak right now. Both wins by knockout TKO. One win over Yana Santos, the other one over Macy Keeson. Guys, I'm just gonna make it simple. We are gonna be picking Amanda Nunes here. I think Amanda Nunes by decision. Amanda Nunes likely by decision, or I'm gonna go with. But as my quick pick, I'm gonna go with Amanda Nunes by TKO. Yeah, I'm gonna go with Amanda Nunes by TKO. But I don't feel comfortable putting Nunes in my parlays because you never know what her mental state is gonna be like going into this fight. I remember a lot of people had her in that fight against her first fight against Juliana Pena. And she just, I don't know what she was doing in that fight. The submission wasn't even locked in, and she just tapped out like crazy. And a lot of people's parlays busted because even I had her in my parlay back then. I took her early. And Aldana does have that crazy power. I mean, she does have ground and pounding power. Has pretty good striking also. So I mean, don't be surprised if Aldana just knocks Nunes out cold. But as my official pick, I'm gonna go with the Lioness by TKO. Alright guys, so that's it for the quick picks for UFC 289. Please subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet. Like and leave a comment for your boy for the YouTube algorithm. And I'll see you guys next time. Good luck. I'm really hyped for this card. Can't wait for the core main event. Alright guys, see you guys next